This is Glambition Radio, episode number 270, Leading Your Team with Kris Plachy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Welcome to Glambition Radio. I am your host, Allie Brown. I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, investor, and founder of The Trust, the modern premier network for 7- and 8-figure women leaders. I love thinking big, doing different, and exploring ideas that disrupt the status quo, especially when it comes to women, because we are creating the new models for leadership, business success, making money, and changing the world. And hey, we're doing it with style. So let's go. We are so happy here in Arizona, and do you know why? Because the temperature has dipped below 80. It is like a switch flips. We don't really get a segue. You go from sleeveless and open toe to suddenly like a sweater and boots. But honestly, I'm a bit relieved that sleeveless is over. It kind of, you can relax a bit. I can relax a bit more at the gym. I know some of you are appalled. I am all about zero-sum game. I'm all about what I can get away with. So I'm, lowering the bar a bit, I think, for my workouts this winter. I got to get through Iconic, though. I always like to look good for events, and, you see the videos and photo, too, and you want to feel good. So I'm going to push through, and then I might take a little break. We will see. How did I get on this topic? We're here to talk about team today, and this is a bonus show with my good friend. She's turned into a good friend, and we have a great shtick, Kris and I. We'd like to do something together at some point. Kris Plachy walked into my world a few years ago for a VIP day. I still do these, by the way, VIP strategy day. It's great for people who, they don't want ongoing coaching, but they'd like to get me for a day focused on their next level. We'll look at everything they've got going on, where they need to re-engineer. We send them out the door in the right direction. If you're interested in that, go to my site. There is a form on the contact page where you can fill out, and my team will chat with you. There's no hard sell. We just love talking with people and seeing if we are a good fit. So that's at alliebrown.com. And that's what Kris hired me for. And as I'm sitting there with her during the day, I'm just like, geez, this stuff's good. Like, she really knows what she's doing, and she's got this great content. And then I said, listen, at the end of the day, I said, can I hire you for a session? I'm about to build a whole new team, and I would love to adapt some of these frameworks you've been talking about, make it so much easier for me. Takes the guesswork out of it. And so we've become very close. She's also a member of The Trust, which is my network for 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. But today, I'm going to be sharing with you a recording of an Instagram Live we did just a few weeks ago with Kris, and it is all on team. And you hear the weight in my voice because team is so much more than team, right? Working with a team, hiring a team, managing a team, knowing when to let people go has to probably be the biggest bane of every entrepreneur's existence I work with, right? If it was just a product and money, we would all be fine. It's the people. It's the people stuff. And many of us, myself included, I never spent much time at a bigger company. I didn't see a lot of management skills. I, hit the ground running when I was 27 and busted out of a small business and started my own and kind of never looked back. So it's important for many of us to slow down a bit, learn more about how to do this, and also know you're not alone. If you are experiencing right now like crazy team stuff, if people are suddenly wanting to leave and you feel heartbroken, you didn't see this coming, change careers, there's a lot of change, there's a lot of velocity right now going on. So how do we stay centered and grounded and truly lead our company and the people at our company? We're going to talk about that today. And Kris is going to be at Iconic. Kris is exactly the type of woman who attends my events. So again, I want to give a shout out. November 3rd and 4th here in Phoenix. Weather's great hiking. We're having this at a lovely hotel that's not far from the airport. Why not come and meet all of these incredible women in one room? I'm telling you, there is nothing else out there like this. I am told this again and again and again. Iconicwithallybrown.com is where you want to go. You don't have to be at seven figures to attend. I do think there's a little confusion on that. You know, the Trust is my network I run where you need to be at 1 million. And I typically work with women who are over 1 million. But Iconic, I wanted to open this up to more women. So we do have a few prereqs. This can't be your first rodeo. Take a look, iconicwithallybrown.com. And if it's not a good fit for you, will you do me a favor? We'd like to fill this room up with more incredible women. Please spread the word. Say, listen, there's this event going on that's none of this boss, babe, BS, girl, boss. Like, everyone looks fantastic, though. Don't get me wrong. We look like babes. But it is such a different conversation. It's such a different level of looking at our businesses, looking at the world, looking at what we want to create. And I know you would love it, or the people you know would love this. Iconicwithallybrown.com. DM me with any questions. Reach out to my team. We're here for you, okay? Now, get ready for a great conversation on leading your team with Kris Plachy. I'm very excited to dig into this with my good friend. She's become a good friend, Kris Plachy, who I think joined, and now you sent the request. So view request, go live with Kris. Hey, here we are. We're getting some traction. I think it's going to beam you in shortly.
What up?
There she is.
Hello.
There she is.
How are
You look good. You look good. It's good to see you.
You too. You're stunning as always.
I'm actually no filter today. I'd like to just share that. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Can I put on a filter?
Yeah.
Where's the eyelash?
I don't think you could do that live. By the way, all of you listening, I need a filter recommendation because everything, I either see stuff that's way over the top. You know what I'd like? A filter that's like when you use the Zoom retouch, it's very subtle, just not to scare people, just so you don't look like Tales from the Crypt.
You
so
know
if you
what?
have any...
It's the Grace. Somebody needs to create the Grace Kelly filter. If you
like
watch
that.
old movies, Grace Kelly is always just like
glowing.
I
think they filmed them with a special lens, but that's kind of what we want, just subtle. But for the 45 and over crowd, we need a little something, not to scare everyone, not to scare the young kids. But good skincare is important. So, okay, we have people joining. This is great. We're going to talk about team. You're actually the first Instagram dual live that I've ever hosted. And I'm excited to have you. And, IG is where I have most of my activity. So I thought, let's gather a bunch of really cool women that I've come to know really well. And let's talk about some relevant things going on right now. And we're calling this Iconic Conversations. I will give a quick plug that Kris is going to be joining me at my event, Iconic, in November 3rd and 4th. And I don't care if it's monkeypox, killer hornets, it is on, okay? If it's legal, I'm going to be there. So that's my thing. If it's legal, I'm going to be there.
Okay.
So hope you're all coming. So we'll be there. So Kris's specialty is team, and I'm going to give I have a great bio for you, Kris, but I've come to know you so well. I want to give Kris just some real cred here in that Kris came into my life. I was thrilled. She hired me for a strategy day, which many very accomplished women have. And they just want some dedicated time, space, sounding board most often for some big moves they're going to make. And it's just great for them to bounce it off somebody. And we riff on it. We map things out. We poke at it, explore things. And it was a really powerful day. And I got to know Kris and her content really well. And then at the end of the day, I said, can I hire you? Because I'm so impressed with what you have created for entrepreneurs and team, because the big roadblock I will share with myself and most every client that I work with at the higher levels is we start these businesses because we want to create our own rules and create our own company and the freedom, and this is all great. But then we get into a situation where we're hiring and we're managing. And, some people come from corporate and may have more structure they can use. I never had that. I was guns a-blazing, figured this out. Can't you guys just do your job? And I had a real problem with it. And so Kris has these great frameworks that you can plug into that take the guesswork out of this, let you know you're not crazy. You just need some different types of conversations, different types of setups. And she's been just a blessing in my life. And she's incredible background experience in corporate. She's brought into Fortune 500 companies to help them with their management frameworks. But she gets us. She gets the entrepreneurs.
because she is one herself. And so do you want to give a quick fill in of anything I'm leaving out in your story, or how you came to come help us poor huddled entrepreneurial masses with our hiring and management?
Well, I'm so honored to have your introduction, and I've been such a huge follower of yours since I started my business. So to have you just say such lovely things, and to even have worked with you to help you with your business has just been such a true manifestation, I guess, I feel like, of my own making. I'm very proud of myself.
I like that.
I think the thing that it's interesting, because I was thinking about this the other day, like, what's the difference between leading in a company and leading your own business? And so I have a lot I could say about that. But working in a company, I naturally was attracted to leadership, and then I built a passion for coaching. And so the two together is really what steered my ship all throughout my own role as a leader. And I just watched so many people give up on big dreams because the people part was hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always going to be hard. I mean, the people, there are dumb people that we end up working with. That's just the truth. But
can you repeat that?
There's dumb people that we will work with.
And we need frameworks for that.
Yeah,
we need frameworks. Okay.
We have frameworks for that so that you get what you want. Like, you don't give up on your dream because George in accounting is the tool. Like, we don't do that. And so that's really what this is all about. Is I know when women can get past this and move through it on their own, women are going to change the world. We already are. And so we need to get to it. We don't need this part to be in the way.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's talk about, how about I share a few observations of what I think is going on in the moment right now in team, because there seems to be some trends, current events, things, observations, things that are going on. By the way, we just had a little comment. Is this going to be posted afterwards? Yes, barring circumstances that I pressed the wrong button and my team's not here. Where are my millennials?
Yeah.
Where are my millennials? They're not here today. So I will save this and post it, and we'll put this up later. Okay, everybody, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Because we're going to get into some really good content. This isn't just, even though Kris and I get pretty chatty and love catching up. We're like the Kathy and Hoda of business. So
of business. Oh my God.
Yeah, and you don't know what's in my mug, do you? You don't really know.
Do a TV show? I'm down.
I'd love to.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Yeah.
So a few things I noticed starting last year, and I'm going to get a little deep with the business. So the world's going through transition, right? Oh, you have all these meta levels. This is really cool. So there's meta levels to what's going on. There's globally disruption, old things that aren't working, blowing up to be healed. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, it just turn off the news or you want to crawl under the bed. Right. So all this destruction and implosion of things that aren't working. And then there's personally, a lot of us are finally realizing, you know, what's really important to me? What's not important to me? I'm going to step into my life. What's my big mission? I'm ready now. And I'm not going to tolerate stuff that isn't working for me anymore or didn't fit anymore. A lot of people are going through that right now. Mm-hmm. And then there's our immediate external, right? To the dismay of our family, like friends, team. There's a lot of this now questioning, okay, is this the right support system for me in my business? Mm-hmm. And they're sitting there too going, you know what, is this the right job for me? When you look at on a mass scale, what's happening in the US and around globally too, a lot of companies, if they're saying come back to work now, some people are like, no, I like this working at home. Like they're calling it the mass resignation. I heard Dave Ramsey call it that. There's going to be a lot of transition. And then some people just wanting to really realizing that this year was a wake up for, you know what, I want to create my own life. Then I'm not connected to all this disruption. I can create something for myself. So that leads to around us, a lot of team disruption, a lot of changing and shifting or realizing that you want to make a change. So tell me in your observations, Kris, also, sorry, one more thing. People are saying you can't hire anybody, that no one's applying for jobs, that for many different reasons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have the floor for a little bit now. Tell us what's important. Okay. Help us see the light. Where do we even start getting our head around what's going on?
Well, I think I love how you kind of started at that meta level. I think I'll do the same thing, but mostly just for you. If you run a business, these are some things I want to sort of remind you, because I do think we get a little caught up in our own weeds. The world has changed from where we were 2 years ago. That's just the truth. And I was talking to a girlfriend about this morning, and I was saying, we can either stand at the wall and yell at it, or we could just acknowledge that there's a wall and we could decide, what are we going to do with the wall? And she actually had a comeback, which she said, yeah, I'd like to file a complaint with reality. So it's perfect.
I like to
So-
submit my resignation to reality.
Yes,
actually.
exactly.
I like that.
So we have to sort of acknowledge, like, okay, how I ran my business, what I did in my business, who I had in my business. All of that is kind of up for grabs right now, which we can either make mean awful things or like, this is kind of fun. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. Like, this is what you do, right? Is you create stuff. So there's a truth, first of all, just to tell, like whatever worked before may not work anymore. And in fighting to keep it, you might be just exhausting yourself. You're just beating on a wall that's not going to come down, not anytime soon. And it'll probably just be there forever. We have to find a new way. So the second thing is, let's talk about talent. Almost every single one of my clients has come to a call to say, I can't find anybody. Nobody's applying. People apply and they schedule interviews and they don't show up. People accept the job and they don't show up. People show up for the job and then they don't come back. So we've got
why? What is going on? What is going on? Is it the planets? What is it? Why?
I think it's
do you know why? Or
it's everything that you've said. There's a fickleness now in the employee psyche, and I'm generalizing. This is not true for everybody.
Yeah.
There are still, this is my point 3, but there are so many amazing people who want to work hard, and that is not going to change. How we find them, connect with them, attract them is what we have to work on. But the second piece of this fickleness, I just had a year where I didn't work, and maybe I was terrified not working as an employee. Now I'm sort of a lot more thoughtful around what I do and where I go and what I do with my time. And maybe I haven't even thought about the implications of coming back to work. And maybe I can make more money not working, right? That's the truth in some places. So we can yell at that, or we could just acknowledge that it's true. And so I think the first thing is we have to, again, like I had a client the other day who runs a beautiful bakery. And she came to the call and said, I can't find people. When am I going to stop being so exhausted? Because I'm trying to deliver on the demands for my clients, my customers. And I said, I have another client who I worked with for the last 2 years who has a seafood restaurant or seafood shop. And she completely changed her business model, her hours, in order to adjust to what was going on. And she made more money. So I said to this baker, I'm like, you don't have to be open 60 hours a week to make money. What if you completely change that? And she completely decided that day, like, oh, I can change all the hours of my business. Yes. Yeah. If you can't find talent right now, you compensating for that gap is going to make you hate your company. So how about we just get more creative with how you run your company, right?
I love this. Can I press pause for a second? I love this because you just took me out of, there's the problem, right? And trying to solve the problem with the normal solution. We can't find help. We need to hire. I'll do the job. Versus backing up and questioning, is this job necessary? Is the task necessary the way we did it? What if we completely reinvent this in a way that suits the team now and in a better way to hire? So like the disruption, and this is where it's getting over talked about, right? The disruption is the way through. But you just gave a very specific way to shift our mindset into that, right? I like that a lot.
And that's that meta. It's that we are so insidiously taught this is what a successful business does to be successful. And as entrepreneurs, like, this is our moment to decide it could look completely different. And, oh, by the way, you can still be successful, because that's the scarcity, right? We tell ourselves we're never going to win. And when you become so reliant on a workforce that's very transient right now, you feel incredibly vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. And then I want to introduce the third piece, which I already mentioned, which is, listen to me. There are still so many talented, qualified, ethical, motivated people who want to work. How you connect with them, attract them, relate to them, build your business to engage them, that's on you, right? That's our work. It's like, oh, okay, what I used to do is not working.
Yeah.
Right. I have a doctor here in town who is my doctor, and she had someone come to work on a Monday and then text her on Tuesday and say, I'm not coming back. And she's like, what the heck? And I'm like,
at least she texted, right? Like sometimes they just don't come back. Yeah. Like you just get ghosted.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but then let's really look at what was the process you went through? Because my guess is you went through a process that you used 2 years ago, or that you've been using for 5 years. And that's not going to vet out the person you need now.
Yeah.
So
profound. Are you guys getting this? I know there's a few of you who are in here live now. Is this making sense to everybody? How we have to completely approach this differently? So if you're bumping up against something, and this is so great for everything going on in the world right now. By the way, this is going to be a long conversation. Are you okay hanging around? Because this is really good. Are you okay, Kris? Okay. Like, this is how we have to approach everything right now. Everything needs to be approached this way. And you just lasered right in on it. Like how you did things before, even things you would think are normal, like here's how we hire. Totally. Like, it's all changing.
You have a choice. You can be victim to it and be like, oh, poor me, my company, and I'm exaggerating, but at the same time, it's like a lot of women do that. Oh, I can't do it. I'm nobody. Or you say, all right, let's get it. Like, this is different. And I am already amazing because I already have built a business. So this is just my next opportunity. And I want to see women pioneer through this, not just, I don't know.
Why for women in particular have you observed that team is such I call it a roadblock, because honestly, like you said, this is where a lot of them stop. When you have to start dealing with this shit and people, and you don't really have the frame, and then you start thinking it's us, we beat ourselves up so much, thinking like, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'll just keep the business here because then I don't need to grow the team. I mean, it's just this battle. So this year's a lot of cleaning out. Why is this so personal for women?
I think it's our double-edged sword, right? It's why women, I believe, are so fit to lead and also equally pained and suffering to lead, because we tend to be the natural nurturers in relationships. We are givers, we are carers. We tend to think for other people and help them and be thoughtful of them in advance, even without their request. And then we have an expectation of the relationship that we create with an employee to mirror maybe the relationship we have with people in our lives that are friends, family, etc. And they're different. And so that is a very deep, almost wound for a lot of women, to be let down, disappointed, unseen, unheard, ignored, disregarded, even though that's not what employees don't wake up in the morning and think, I can't wait to disregard my boss today. I can't wait to write her off and ignore her. They have other things they're thinking about. It has nothing to do with us. But because we relate on that level, it injures us. And then because nobody wants to do something that hurts all the time, we stop. We step out. Mm-hmm. Right? I just was writing this morning. I do morning pages every day. And I wrote about how I think that leadership is one of the biggest tests for self-worth. And if you don't have a strong sense of who you are and that you offer and are a valuable human on the planet, and just by being a human, you allow these leadership exchanges, these challenges with team, to question and define you. Yeah. And again, that's so painful that I'll just do it myself. I don't want to deal with any of you people who make me feel like ass. I'm not supposed to swear. Am I supposed to swear?
We already did, I think. It's okay. This is PG.
PG-13, I think. I should be like British people and say arse.
Arse. Arse is nice. So, bum's good too. You know, a great insult, in case it comes in handy, that I love, I picked up from Brett a bit. It's a bit more British though, is wanker. Like, it's just such a good one. I just thought I'd throw that out as a contribution today. He's a freaking wanker.
Lindsay loves it. She says it's good. Okay. Yeah. So that, I think, is ultimately that. I think men are encouraged to be more this way from the time they're young. Women, right? Don't be bossy. Like, we just have that all. It's just a lot of socializing that we're fighting against. And then a lot of reaffirming. That's why I love what I do, is I create space for people to work through these things where they're not just with a bunch of other women sort of agreeing with them. Right. Like, which is, I think, also part of it. Like, we validate all of our own insecurities together, not in purpose, but like, we're not going to do that here. We're going to solve this here.
Right. Right. And that's one of the things I appreciate a lot about you, is it was a conversation saying, well, here's another way to look at things. And here's a strategy that I recommend. And that's what people need now. They need more of this open-mindedness in how we approach these problems. It's not a direct solution. It's usually another whole approach. Mm-hmm. So anything else we should know, especially about, we have back up another question. women also seem to tolerate a lot more longer, because that's a journey maybe. And then almost feeling like, sometimes also feeling like a failure because they hired the wrong person, that they may not feel confident in hiring again. This is something I've talked with a lot about, with clients. Let's talk about the letting go and moving on process with teams.
Oh, that's powerful. I was just having this conversation this morning. So I think it's a couple things. I think that many women have fear of conflict. So that's one reason why we tolerate. We just don't even know how to have the conversation. And it's going to be uncomfortable and they're going to cry. And so it's fine. I can handle it. I think the other one is we're always sort of rooting for the underdog. Like, oh, no, I've got you. I know you can figure this out. You want to be supportive. You don't want to, because we tend to connect more deeply with people, then it feels very painful to let them go, right? There's that. And that whole, like, my business is my family. I like to treat people like family. Like, I think it's a terrible idea. You can have a lot of grace and compassion and empathy for people without treating them like family members. Because, right, there's always somebody who lives in the basement. In a family. And I think it's also that we just aren't taught the tools. When did you learn how to have a difficult conversation in school? Like, we don't teach people how to be able to give feedback and not make it personal, right? Like, people tend to lean into feedback and say, it feels like, I really think that, instead of like, here's the results and here's what I asked you to do. That's not personal. That's just facts. Yeah. So it's just, we're just kind of resisting something. And, when you think about women, we're kind of new to this, even though we've been leading for thousands of years, right? Families and movements and tribes and all the things, right? But in the work environment, that we're kind of newer, like in the span of our species. And so I think us being able to, I kind of coined the phrase on my podcast a while ago, that I believe leadership is feminine. And I think we're just discovering that, right? That we can own all of our femininity and be powerful leaders, instead of where leadership has tended to be much more of a masculine attribute. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of, again, ethereal.
Yeah. And it's a mix, I think, isn't it? I think what we're witnessing with the world right now. And I'm going to quote my friend Claudia Chan, who mentioned this in a podcast of mine years ago. It just stuck with me. She said, the world needs a mommy and a daddy. And it's the balance. It's the yin and the yang. And that's the same with leadership. And it's the same with the team. There are days that we have to be more empathetic, and we do the coaching and we sit with people. And there are days like, and I said this to some clients, I'm like, you got to go back in there and boss up. Yeah. You've got to totally boss up. And this is your show, and all your money and your livelihood is on the line. And you put everything on the line for this. And you've been more than gracious, because I've been with some of these people, it's been like 2 years and they're still talking about Sherry, whatever, every call. And how's Sherry? And, some of you, if you could relate to this, there's like one team member or one situation or even one client, right? It's another great example. That's just like, and we tolerate this for a long time. And I think, Kris, and I want you to know that you're not crazy. Like, you've probably, in more often than not, I've seen people give way much more than fire too quickly.
Yes. Agreed.
But again, these are skill sets. Before I ask another question, I want to ask, where can everyone learn more about what you have going on? You have some fantastic programs for women to plug into and get these frameworks and conversations. Where should they go?
So the program that we run is called How to CEO. So you can go to howtoceoregister.com and you can learn all about it. And then this month, we're actually doing what we're calling How to CEO Week. So it's a $97 course for a week long. And it's 5 days to a better team. And so we're doing a team audit. So if you're kind of in that space of like, okay, I have people, but they're not really doing what I want, but is it me? Am I the problem? Are they the problem?
So it's like a diagnostic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
that's cool. When does that start?
That's going to start at the end of August. They can go to howtoceoweek.com to register. And I'm going to finish the week with a live Q&A. So it should be fun. I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's great. So if you're looking to get like kind of some immediate results and get a good taste of what Kris's work is like, that's fantastic. I like the week model. I didn't know you're doing that. It's kind of a sampler, but they get a result.
It's like a snack.
Yeah. It's the snack size of how to CEO. Yeah. Which probably, there's a lot to it, isn't there? So that's a good way to start with it, is just, convincing ourselves, is it us? Is it them?
Is it the process?
Jupiter?
It's for sure the Leo moon.
Yeah.
You Leos.
Yeah.
You got to stir everything up, you Leo types.
We're causing, the Leos right now are causing everything going on,
Yes.
but it's always for the better. We're here to shine. The world's here to shine. So tell me about why you decided to, I know you don't go to a lot of events.
No.
You don't go, you have your life and what you like to do and stuff with your clients. You don't go to many events. Why did you decide to enroll on Iconic to join me in November?
The first thing that comes to my mind when you said that was quality conversations. One of the things I've always appreciated about you, Allie, is what the level of conversation you bring into your podcast and into our conversations. I don't do a lot of the small stuff too well. I'm kind of find that tires me. So the women who come to your events are on that same level, right? And so the conversations are just such quality. There's so much sharing and co-ideating that happens that is like powerful, meaningful, useful. So that's, for me, that's the first thing that comes to mind is the power of that experience and what everybody gets to leave from. It's not like there's just a few people. It's like everybody has the opportunity to benefit.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So have a look at coming to join us. This is November 3rd and 4th here in Phoenix. I had Iconic for 3 years in a row, and then I thought that chapter had closed. And then it was earlier this year where I was sitting around with the team, and sometimes Brett will walk by and I'm like, come join us. He always has great ideas and he's great at ruffling some things up. We need to be ruffled a bit, some ideas. And he's kind of looking at the plan, and we were also kind of just feeling funky about the year and everything. He's like, you need another event. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, no. No. And he said, you need another Iconic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be exactly what we need. It could be exactly what we need, is to get together. It's such an incredible time for reinvention for everyone right now, in themselves, in their businesses, in the world. We just had a few new people sign up for the event with, $5 million businesses. And they're still saying, I'm ready for a change. That says a lot. You know what I mean? When women have built these things and they're like, well, or they want to figure out, how do I phase out leading this business, put someone running this, but go do more of my life's mission? There's so many opportunities right now. And that's where I want to leave people, is a silver lining. Everything happening right now around the world. Even stuff now I can't even see the silver lining. There will be a huge opportunity that may not be visible yet, but it is under the surface. That's happening in every industry right now. It's happening in every country right now. We have to work through this muck to open up the opportunity and conversation. So we're going to do that in a closed door room together. So Iconic, many of you know that also Kris is a member of the Trust, just because I know there's a bit of confusion. So the Trust, because I don't have an Iconic mug, and so I got confused in my branding today. So I need an Iconic
I'll have
mug.
to change that.
But we're cross promoting, right? So because Kris is in the Trust. Now the Trust is my network for women doing $1 million plus. Many of them are going to be at Iconic. And that is why the quality of that room, already the women registered, you don't have to be at $1 million to attend Iconic, but the women who have registered already, I tell you, the average revenues in that room is well over $1 million. Imagine the conversations that women leaders can have if we come together from all different places, all different cultures, all different industries, and put our heads together to what we want to create next, but also what the world needs next. That gives me chills. And you can learn more at iconicwithallybrown.com. And if you're interested, also check out the Trust. If you'd like these kind of conversations long-term, this is how we roll. I think this was a great example, Kris, and how we speak even in the Trust at our meetings as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. We'd love to bring some new members in for the fall. But Kris, last words of advice, maybe a step that we could take today to get our heads around team and feel better about if there's some disruption or fear in our lives around growing that team right now.
Yeah, well, I guess this is maybe sounds a little oversimple, but I wrote this morning too, as I was just sort of thinking about things. And I think for all the challenges that so many women have faced, and so many people have worked really hard to make things work, we're much more effective when we take action from pride, confidence, abundance. And for everyone watching who has built their own business and is still, I know, facing the challenges that we all face, like, take a minute and reflect on everything you've built, everything you've worked through, all the decisions you've made, and trust yourself and know that you're amazing. And believe that I agree with echo everything Ali just said, that we are on such a trajectory for something amazing. A lot of great things are coming. And so just keep trusting yourself, get some trusted advisors who can support you. Don't do this alone. The work that Ali does in the world is such a great network of other women doing this work. And so we're here to support each other and to help one another shine and grow, and also have even those mutual tough conversations with each other to say, hey, how about we rethink that? But you're amazing. You're doing some amazing work.
So are you. That's why I wanted, you're my kickoff IG Live. So give the link again for that 1 week, like quickie.
How to CEO week. Yeah, it means how to CEO week. You get a video every day for the Build a Better Team in 5 days, and live Q&A with me, and it's $97. So it's a great
You can't afford
thing.
Not to.
No, of course not.
Okay. I love that. Okay. Thank you, Kris. So great to
My
have
pleasure.
you on. Everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm going to post this later, and then we'll be looking for any other comments or questions. I'm sure Kris will jump in as well. We'll keep an eye open, and we'll post those links again. And just thanks for joining us on a Tuesday morning. This is fun. I want to do this more. This wasn't as stressful as I thought. I don't know. I just get all like worked up for these things. And this is easy. This was easy. I'm going to be doing this a lot more. I like it.
Nice chat.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Glambition Radio. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get my new shows every week. Also, I'd love if you left us a review so more women like you can discover us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and other major platforms. And I'd love to hear from you personally. Come join the conversation on social. Instagram is my happy place lately, and that's Ali Brown Official, but you can find links to my other platforms at alibrown.com. Glambition Radio is the elevated conversation for women leaders, and I'm honored you tuned in.